Yo, what it do, guys, and welcome back to another video. Now, today's video, we're going to be looking at Styanax, the king of supports, and boy oh boy does he bring a lot to the table. We'll go ahead and be looking at this augment right here on the screen as well, but if you guys are looking for a non-flashy style type of Warframe, but a Warframe that will help you and your teammates survive in endgame content, look no further. This man is an absolute menace, so let's go and break down why he is by looking straight away at his abilities to start things off with. So let me go and move my camera real quick. Let's go and talk about his passive. So his passive, just real quickly, is depending on how much shields he has, he basically gets increased critical chance towards his like weaponry. Okay, I think it's like I'll put it somewhere here if I need to. It's like 1% critical chance per 40 shields. So again, if you have things like any kind of shield capacity mods like redirection or prime redirection, you would actually get a lot more out of it, augur accord, stuff like that, so forth. So that works really, really well. Now on spear guns, this is things like Tharros, Javelok, Scourge, Offentus, whatever, and spear guns, it actually doubles the amount of critical that he gets on there. And the critical is kind of like the mods that you use in builds anyways, you know, things like point strike or critical delay. It's kind of like those. That's basically what it is when you add towards the build. All right, but overall it's not bad, can't really complain about it. Lovely jubbly, just free critical. Now, his first ability is Axios Javelin. Now, for the build that I will be showing you in a moment, we won't really be using this ability, and I'll kind of show you why, because we don't really need what it's going to be doing. So, Axios Javelin looks like this. The idea is, I'll show you what it looks like if I don't hit a surface first. So, I'm going to throw, actually, I'm going to throw a javelin, and then when it lands, it then explodes, right? Now, if I go and do it to an enemy, I'm going to try and throw them out the map here. See that? Yeet, they're gone. Sometimes they come back. They didn't come back this time, but we throw them straight out the map. Lovely, good stuff. However, what you will go notice is that's basically it. No. So if I go ahead and actually throw it at this person's feet here, when it does hit an enemy and explodes, it will then also pull enemies in. Whereas if I just throw it there, you'll see not much is actually happening. So I do have to kind of connect with the enemy to go ahead and get that big old suck going on there. Now, for what it's worth, for the build that we'll be using in the moment, we don't really need this. This is why this ability will be subsumed out to the Helminth. Okay, just go and let you guys know for the build that we're going to be going with this video. Anyways, that's Axios Javelin. Whoops, that's the build. Well, that's an empty build. Right, up next we got Tharros Strike. And Tharros Strike basically is going to be a way to remove enemies' defenses. Okay, so let's go and show you what this looks like real quickly. Let's go ahead and take these enemies here. So he's going to throw out shields in front of him, as you can see there. So it's kind of like a cone. I don't actually know the degree, 140, 150, 160, anywhere around that. Sounds about right. It's not the full 180 of the screen, so any enemy behind you will not get affected by this ability. But what will basically happen is in one cast, so I knock them backwards, and if I look at their I'll just zoom in for you guys. If you go and look at their armor there, you can see it's been hurt. So if I go ahead and do a second cast here, you can see they're fully armor stripped. So that's a permanent armor strip. They're not getting armor back. The idea is this, I believe at base, is 50% of the vulnerability of the enemy. Okay, so basically if you take 200% strength, if you have 200% strength, you will end up getting 100% removal to their to enemy shields or to enemy armor. All right, so just really good ability to go and take there. The enemy's too tanky and you want to go and bring him down, bomb, off you go, just go and put it. And it's very easy to apply, as you can go and see there. It does go and scale off range, keep that in mind, and it is a cone in front of you. So there are other better armor strip abilities out there, but it's very easy to go and apply, and it doesn't require too much strength to go ahead and do it, not like Hildren's Pillage, for example. So then we got Rally Point, which is his third ability. And Rally Point is going to basically be like a bit of a buffing tool. So let's go and break down how this works. So first of all, when I do go and use the ability, I'm going to become a bit of a threat is what's going to happen. So as soon as I toggle the ability, if you're in a team with other players, your squad is with you, you're going to make yourself the threat. Okay, so enemies are going to try and focus you a bit more. So keep that in mind. Now, what will go and happen, and I will just go ahead and lose a little bit of energy here, is the moment I activate the ability, if you go and look at the bottom right, watch my energy, you can see I'm getting energy per second. So you'll get 3 energy per second, and that scales off strength. Okay, so if I have more strength, so I had 200% strength, that'd be 6 energy per second. 300% strength, 9 energy per second. You get the idea. So you're gonna get a good amount of energy return. The second thing that's gonna happen is, sorry about all of the overguard I've got in the top right of the screen. Just try your hardest to ignore that. I might have to leave the simulacrum in a moment. I've been messing about. But whilst the ability is active, so I'll just activate it again. If I kill any enemies, or if I assist on any kills as well, I'll also go ahead and get shield return. So if you look just underneath my overguard there, and I go and kill these enemies, you can see I got even over shields. So I now have 2,125 over shields as well. Keep in mind, that's only but going to go and help my passive on top of it, all right? So it synergizes really, really well. So on kills, you get shields and over shields, and on cast, you'll get an energy. Just a really, really good supportive ability. When you really think about what you're getting from that, that's fantastic. So now we've got the last ability here real quick, which is going to be Final Stand. Now, Final Stand is going to be kind of like his damage inside his kit, because he doesn't really have damage coming from many other sources here. So this is kind of like his damage, but don't really look at it like that. Although it is doing damage, it's not doing a tremendous amount. It's only 1,500 base, but it's going to be doing 2 things. All right, so let's go ahead and show you what this looks like real quick. So if I go ahead and throw this against the wall, so it's going to pick him up and put him airborne a little bit, and what you're going to see is that he's going to summon specters on himself, and they're all going to throw these javelins. It's also a very noisy ability as well, okay? So sometimes I want to play that on a little bit lower volume. So if I go and throw this against enemies, what is going to happen, these are level 1s, maybe I'll go and just get level 225 so you can see what it looks like. When I do go and hit enemies, it's going to go ahead and deal slash damage, then the javelin's going to explode, and then it's also going to do a slash proc, so it's going to bleed them. So if I go and throw it against these enemies here, as you can see, lots of damage numbers coming out there, and as you can see, they are bleeding like that. You see all the ticks going on there. Lovely stuff. That's basically what is going on there. Now, furthermore, when I do go and cast this ability, let me have full energy there. If I cast this ability airborne and I want to cast it again, I can't. I have to land first. On top of that, if I do cast the ability, I cannot cast other abilities whilst I'm casting that ability, okay? Basically, this ability used to be way stronger in the past. It's kind of been held back a little bit nowadays, but just going to let you know that's how it's working. Now, in terms of damage, the damage is scaling per javelin. The damage is scaling off ability strength, but in terms of how many javelins I'm throwing and the longevity of the ability, that scales off ability duration. So 2 factors, ability duration, ability strength. More importantly, though, we want the ability strength. So up next, that's the entire kit, what's going on there. Hopefully I boiled that down nice and quick for you. Up next is the Augment. So again, I'll just whack the Augment on screen there. Well, I don't really need to, but let's go ahead and go in towards the arsenal. Let's go and talk about the Augment and how it works. So it's going to be a Final Stand Augment. And what this is going to do is this is going to be a survival tool. This is going to give us overguard whenever we are hitting enemies with Final Stand. It is so easy to apply this. It just requires you to throw a javelin and make sure it hits an enemy. Now, keep in mind the javelins do go ahead and have an explosion range, so you want to make sure that you don't hurt 6 meters. Personally, you could probably take it down to like 5 meters or maybe potentially 4, but definitely don't go any lower than that, because the lower range that you end up having, the explosion on this return doesn't feel great, okay? Anyways, the idea is that we grant 60 overguard towards Styanax and 30 overguard towards his allies within affinity range. So even if I did go lower range here, it doesn't hurt me giving allies overguards, but it does hurt my my explosion range with the javelin. Keep that in mind, because that is important, all right? So that is what we're going to be taking going forwards into our build. So let's go ahead and actually look at the build that we'll be using, which is Intrepid stands over here. Now, first of all, again, overguards, right? That basically means, if I go and just show you here real quickly, so I was supposed to go and do this. We go and look at the top right, boom. Oh, we can't actually see my overguard go up. Sorry, it's because I've been in the simulacrum. Actually, if I do this, now if I do it, yeah, we can see the overguard go up. There you go. So So every time that I'm hitting an enemy there, I am doing overguards, again, overguard for me and my allies. And you can see just how much damage it's also doing on top of it. So that is basically going to be the gimmick there. You are going to be surviving whilst doing damage, not just to you, but to your allies. Okay. Now, on top of that, what we're going to be doing is removing the first ability from the build, which was the Axios Javelin. We're going to be replacing it with Grendel's Nourish for 2 reasons. The first reason, which is the most important reason of it, is Grendel's Nourish gives us an energy multiplier. Now, my camera is in the way, so I'll just put my camera over here really quickly for you guys so you can go and read the ability a little bit clearer there. The energy multiplier, cycle your eyes all the way down, 1.6 going into 2.43. Why is that important? Energy multiplier basically means any source of energy that we're getting gets multiplied, so it's greater. Okay, well, if this rally point is already scaling off strength, so my rally point is giving me 7 energy. Now, hypothetically, if we had just run that down for a second, if that was giving me just 2 energy multiplier, this now means this is giving me 14 energy, not just to me, but to my allies per second. So as you can imagine, hang on a second, that's pretty good. Yeah, it is. It's very, very nice. So you can get a good amount of energy return for you and your allies. And the same also goes there with the shield and the kills as well. Also just bumping our shields up and our over shields up. Really, really good. But keep in mind, if we've got overguard, we don't really need to worry about the shields and over shields. Secondly, and the second thing that Nourish is going to be doing here is it will go ahead and apply a viral proc as I am using my javelins. Now, I won't lie to you, it doesn't do it on every single part, so I will go ahead and explain it a little bit better in some text on the screen in a moment as well, or probably it's up there by now. I don't know, I'm rambling. I'll decide that when I'm editing. But if I go ahead and do, if I just go and hit these guys with normal final stand over here, and you see that ends there. So there you go. So that's what it looks like that, right? Now, if I go ahead and do Nourish, and then I go ahead and throw it over here, hopefully one of them will go ahead and get onto it. There you go. So there it is there. So there's the viral on top of it. Now, again, do keep in mind, viral as a status chance, as a status element, is basically going to amplify any damage that is basically being done to the target. In this case, those slash ticks are going to be doing way more damage on top of it. But like how I said that, like how you sitting there, we're not getting that many viral procs on top of it, so don't really worry about it too much. Okay, that's not really the most important part of the build, but it's nice that it synergizes with what we're doing. The idea that, and the main thing that we do want, is the energy multiplier. This just allows us to go ahead and get so much energy. Now, I am going to go and give you just a little sneak peek on a second build that you can go ahead and use here. If you guys are using things like Railjack as well, you can use him as your go-to Railjack driver. If you really think about it, you can nourish and energy. So I get 9.54 there with a multiplier of almost 3 on top of it. What's that? 18, 20, almost about 27 energy with an energy siphon, with an energy nexus. It's a lot of energy, which now allows me to pilot the Railjack and then shoot and use all of the Warframe's ability, or all of the Warframe's energy, as you can imagine. But I'm getting so much back. He becomes a really good pilot. Anyways, getting ahead of myself, but I just want to show you guys that little sneaky build there. Going back towards this build, as for the rest of the things that we now have, now that you understand how the build's coming together, let's go and talk about a few things. So Intrepid stand is an absolute lock-in. Precision Intensify, this, I'm not going to lie to you, you can swap this out for Transient Fortitude if you're mostly focusing on the energy multiplier and the energy return. But since I was just trying to also make sure I was doing some damage, because again, it's not a really great offensively damaged type ability, there's way better ones, I was trying to bump it up a bit more. So Precision Intensify is 90% ability strength for your 4th ability. If you don't have this, Transient Fortitude just works just as well. There's nothing wrong with that. And not only will that go ahead and help this ability, but also help this and this on top of it. So you can go and do that. The only thing is, you will be hurting your duration. Again, it doesn't matter too much, because you can't cancel your 4th ability. I don't know if I did say that, but when you are in final stand, you can't cancel it. You got to wait for the duration of the ability to basically expire. So sometimes you can remain in there a little too long. Hurting your duration a little bit doesn't really hurt you that much, and again, you just yield even bigger returns. But for now, I'm just trying to get a little bit more damage here, and I also increase my overguard cap as well. On top of that, Blind Rage is an absolute must-have for the build. There's no reason for you to not take this. The efficiency doesn't, again, so long as you've got enough to cast this one time, you're fine. You're always going to be getting energy back. So even if you get this, if you had to choose between any ability to cast, you choose Rally Point, always. Okay, then after Rally Point, then do Nourish. Then after that, then go ahead and do final stands. Okay, in that order, that's like priority, because you're always getting energy back. Now you get an energy multiplier back. Now you can go ahead and protect the group. Okay, so Blind Rage is just a must-have inside here. It doesn't matter about hurting our efficiency. In fact, if I could hurt that even more, I would. Okay, I would, for fun at this point. From there onwards, we have got things like preparation. This is fantastic. Good thing about this build, and the good thing about Styanax, you don't need things like rolling guards. You don't need things like prime sure-footed, which is really, really nice, because they are very, very good, respectable mods in their own defensive categories. In terms of quality of life, they're both phenomenal. Styanax doesn't need it. He's giving you overguard, and he has a tremendous amount of shield gear in anyways on kills, so he really doesn't need those two mods, which means you can expend them to other usages. In this case, preparation. Chuck that in. So as soon as the mission starts, I can start using all my abilities and start looking after my teammates right off the bat. Okay, so as soon as we load in, boom, they get rally point and nourish, and all we're going to do is fight an enemy and give them overguard. Not too bad, right? Now, grow power is not a necessity, but it just adds a little bit of a strength towards the build. And again, that can also come in synergy with my passive anyways, because every so often I'm going to be using my weapons. Why wouldn't I? Now I will go and say, I'm going to show you another build here just real quickly as well. Is the fragmented one. This one I'm focusing a little bit more on my weaponry, so you can go and use things like prime redirection. Again, that would synergize a bit more with your weapons. You'll see my arcanes change here as well, so I'm going more weapon related arcanes, so you can go ahead and do that. That build does also exist. It's just a variant of what you can go and do. So if you want to go more for like a, I'm supporting the team, but once my supporting's done and they've got all of their overguard and their energies are coming back and whatever, I just want to be offensive, then I would probably recommend something like this. But if you want to go ahead and ignore that and then go for more just buffing and supportive, then things like multi-efficiency, while shields are active, because they're always going to be active because we have overguard as a layer, you get even more ability duration, 36% ability duration, which is great. More augmented, you're going to end up getting a 60% increase towards your strength. So this is going to be 299% strength. Okay, and if you end up running things like Madarite and you go ahead and use sling strength, you'll end up getting an extra 40% ability strength on top of it. Again, can't really complain about that, right? Or if you end up using Zenurik, you can go and use Hardened Wellspun to get an extra 20% ability strength. It's up to you which one of those you want to go and use, but Madarite works really, really well with Styanax, so there's no harm with that. But overall, that's kind of the build. Like I said here, I didn't want to hurt my range too much. I did explain that a little bit earlier. I don't want the explosion range to fall off, okay? The good thing is, though, range doesn't matter for Intrepid stands. Doesn't matter at all, but it does matter in terms of that explosion. So you can hit it a little bit, but don't hit it too much. All right, as to how you want to play the rest of it, strength is like the main factor. Duration is really nice, and don't hurt your range too much, and you can hurt your efficiency as much as you want to. Okay, and in terms of arcanes, just anything that's quality of life towards you, ability strength, ability duration, or just weapon stuff, like how you can see inside this setup with prime redirection. Okay, anyways, that's basically Styanax inside a nutshell. This build is super strong. Let's go and have a little look at the Archon Shards, and then we'll go straight in towards some gameplay for you as well. So the Archon Shards that I've got down here, casting speeds, just because, honestly, just because. I can stop my sentence there. I realized what I was going to say. Just because. It's not going to speed up the amount of javelins that I'm doing on final stand. That's not how that's really working. But honestly, just because. The more that I think about it, the more that I don't really need this. It's literally just a flex at this point, because I've got so many of these Talforged Amber Archon Shards spare. I just like the quality of life here. Maybe parkour velocity and stuff like that isn't too bad. I believe there is some movement speed things that does affect him when he's in his fourth, so you could consider things like that. But otherwise, ability strength, ability duration, you can't really go wrong with on the Crimson side, so you just chuck those in and you just yield an extra profit. Outside of that, I mean, unless I pop it on the screen here, I can't think of anything else that's super important. I guess because if he does kill with the blast, you could consider Topaz for the health increase, but honestly, that's just copium. You don't really need to. There is synergy there, but you don't really need to. It'd be a little bit of a waste of a shard. So honestly, I feel like ability strength might just be the best things to chuck in here and just get yourself more buff in return. So some gameplay up on the screen here, as you can go and see. Again, it's not a flashy build, guys. Okay, it's not flashy at all. Your goal is to get into your team and just make sure that those guys survive. Give them unlimited energy and just constant energy returns, but make sure that you've rally pointers on, make sure nourish is applied, and now just go ahead and spam your final stands. Now, if you do happen to do particular missions, maybe it'd be like demolishers or demolists or so forth, and you'll notice they're a bit tanky, and you're looking for a way to go and debuff them while scaling the mission even further. Maybe you're in there for like 2 hours, 3 hours, you'll notice the enemies get a little bit tankier. Okay, well then at that point you can go and use the second ability, Tharros, to go ahead and just remove their defenses. But again, not really needed. Again, it's not a super flashy build, but oh my goodness, everybody, it's like a Wisp or Citrine for the queen of supports right there, or Styanax and maybe like Dante, the king of supports. So Styanax is just, if you got Styanax in your group, you are happy. You are happy to see him because, oh my god, he is doing work. It's just not flashy, but oh my god, I love having a Styanax in my group. Okay, so anyways, we'll go and bring you guys back from the gameplay. There's not much else going to say there. I just wanted to make sure that you guys understood how the build works, and if you do ever feel like maybe you're entering Steel Path content, or you're entering a brand new mission and maybe you don't know the mechanics, you don't really want to feel like you're a burden to the team or whatever, consider a Styanax. You can't really go wrong with him. Okay, so sometimes people are going to sit on DPSs and you need a support. Look no further, say less, right? Here he is right here. Anyways, that's going to be about today's video. It's going to be a bit more of a shorter, sweeter one. Normally I go a lot more in-depth, but there's not much going in-depth here. Very easy to understand Warframe. If you don't have a Styanax build, now you do. All right, no excuse. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching today's video. If you did like it, please go and hit the like button. If you think there'll be a friend or someone out there who will go ahead and benefit from a video like this as well, please go and share the video wherever you can. I'd be truly grateful if you do go and do that. And as always, if you are new to the channel, hit the subscribe button. But I'll be catching you guys again inside the next video. Take care, guys.